Hi, and thank you for clicking on Pain to Power, a call for HOA reform. If you are new to my platform, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow, as I will continue to post updates about a homeowner story, a woman in Grand Junction who has been involved in an ongoing legal battle with her HOA for years now. For those of you that are new to the channel, or just a high-level refresher of her ongoing legal battle with her HOA. Essentially, she purchased a lot in Grand Junction in 2018. There was no mention of an HOA on the plat nor the deed. And shortly after she starts to build on this lot, build her dream home, all these bizarre events start to occur, which lead up to her finding out that her HOA is claiming they own a portion of her property based on a deed that was filed in which the person that sold them the property wasn't even on this homeowner's title, essentially had no rights to even put this deed in place. I guess, I don't know if the HOA just didn't check the title before they went into this agreement, but definitely the deed's not legal. And then her HOA turns around and without notice sues her for over $600,000 in fines, violations, and legal fees. So there's a number of things to unpack associated with her story, but where I'm going to follow up before I go into, again, footage and videos of another vandalism event associated with a flag that is beyond disturbing. Before I go into those details and we look at some of the documentation the homeowner has around this vandalism event, I just wanted to touch briefly on this deed that the HOA is now claiming they own a portion of her property. This was an easement deed. So first of all, Colorado law states that easements do not convey property. This just is not legal per Colorado law, that somebody could claim they have an easement and they actually own a portion of your land. Easements were created to convey the right to use somebody's land. Bottom line, end of story, Colorado law. The deed is not legal. Not only was it sold by an individual who didn't own the property, it violates Colorado law in terms of what easements actually are. Number three, Mesa County does not even allow anybody to subdivide a property in this woman's area where she lives that's a 3-acre lot. It's just not even possible. And this portion of the property the HOA is claiming to own is 206 square feet. So let's just think about that for a minute. Not only can you not subdivide and break off 206 square feet of your property, but why in the world would any homeowner agree to do that? It just defies logic. It really makes no sense that somebody would think it's a good idea to just peel off 206 square feet of your property and sell it to your HOA. So if you start to kind of, oh, and by the way, it also violates the HOA CC&Rs that they have in place that you can't subdivide these lots. So, okay, crazy town all the way around here. But kind of goes back to why in the world would an HOA, why would this deed be filed and why would an HOA be claiming that they own 206 square feet of this woman's property? Well, could it be that this HOA needed this 206 square feet so they could have common space? Because in the state of Colorado, you need to have property insurance for HOAs on your common space property. I don't know, just more stuff that the deeper, my new saying is the deeper I go, the darker it gets. So I'm going to end it there. We definitely have a lot more we're going to unpack in the future videos around this whole deed. Based on my assessment, it's absolutely fraudulent, and there should be absolutely the Attorney General or somebody picking up on this. I've submitted a request to investigate, the homeowner has, and as part of a call to action to people in Colorado who want to do something, I have now created a email, pain2power HOA reform, one word, @yahoo.com. Please email me and I can let you know how you can help to get the word out and help get some attention on this case. Okay, with that being said, I'm now going to switch gears here and go into another disturbing and just disgusting event, another flag vandalism event that occurred to this homeowner That again, while this was reported to the police in Grand Junction, there has been zero investigation associated with this event. So if we go to the screen, we're going to bring up right now picture number 1. And what you see here is most people in Colorado are well aware. If you haven't heard about this event that occurred, it was a tragic event in November of 2022 when there was a shooting at a nightclub in Colorado Springs, and innocent people lost their lives. Very, very tragic event. And so what occurred around that event, what you see in front of you is a picture of, at the time, this homeowner wanted to honor the people in Colorado Springs that lost their lives due to this tragic event. And essentially what you see in front of you is this event occurred the evening of the 19th, morning of 20th of November 2022. And so this homeowner went out, and what you see in front of you is she went out and she purchased a pride flag and she put it at the end of her driveway. And this was roughly the time frame she did this was on the 21st. And so what you see in front of you is a picture of her driveway, and you can see the pride flag at the end of her driveway, and you see a white truck at the end of her driveway. And if you zoom in, I didn't have my editor do this for this series, but if you zoom in or look closely, you can see what appears to look like a picture. Somebody's in the truck holding something up. It could be a cell phone, it could be a camera, I'm not quite sure. So the reason why this homeowner took this picture is because she identified this picture as the HOA management truck, the manager of the HOA management company. And she was alarmed and confused as to why this individual was sitting at the end of her driveway. They do no maintenance on her property. She was somewhat confused about it, so it's her regular action now to take pictures of things when she thinks things look odd. So she took this picture of the HOA manager sitting at the end of her driveway, and you can see that the flag is intact. At the same time that all this was going on, the HOA was also fining her daily fines, because the HOA has a rule you can only have one flag on your property. So perhaps that was why the HOA manager was there. Perhaps he needed to take a picture of this pride flag after these people had lost their lives, and she simply wanted to pay them respects because this was violating HOA rules. I don't really know why the HOA manager was there. But essentially, that is the picture that you see in front of you. So she puts the flag at the end of her driveway. Then if you go into the next picture, what you see is she then moves the flag to a post at the side of her driveway. So then she decides after that she wants to move the flag up to the front of her driveway because there's more traffic, and she wants to do more of a public display, because the more she watched the news, she was heartbroken, as we all were, about what we saw. So she moved this flag to the top of her property, where there's a main thoroughfare and road where people could see the flag. So what you are going to see now is essentially a crime associated with the pride flag in November 2022. You can see it was roughly a few days after the event, and you see an arrow and this individual writing on November 23rd, 2022, roughly 2 days before Thanksgiving, at noon, in the middle of the day, at the corner of her property. And you can see cars are driving by, so plenty of witnesses to this vandalism crime, hate crime, which is a felony, by the way. And the flag she had moved it up to her property, as I stated, on November 22nd. The next day, on the 23rd, she realized the flag had been vandalized. It was no longer up, and it was in a ditch. So the criminal, I'm assuming it's the same criminal, unless this could be organized crime, we don't know because nobody's done an investigation, is walking down now to where the flag that was vandalized, the pride flag that was vandalized, the night before is sitting in a ditch. So what you see is this individual now coming back to where I'm assuming they know this pride flag is, and they will be picking it up, the flagpole that was in the ground that has, the next pictures you'll see will show, the next videos will show how the flag looks to be a little shredded. And they are now doing something with that flag. And my assumption is the flag was missing after this event, so they ripped it off the pole, and the individual put this flag, I'm assuming, on their pocket, wherever. They took this flag, and then you'll see here in a minute, they walk up and get on their bike. I'm assuming that's electric bike, and they take off. So what you see are cars, lots of people driving by, but this criminal seems to be so brazen to do this in the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday, which is absolutely terrifying. I mean, why has there not been an investigation on this event? Then you can see the individual, if you follow the arrow, they will then depart the property in the direction that they came with, I'm assuming, the flag on their bodies or presence or wherever they put that flag. So as we move into this video, we'll now go and move into looking at this event from a different direction. She had another video camera. And what you see here is the individual from a different angle. We're going to stop it. So what you see is this individual has their face disguised. It's November. We're going to zoom in. They have a red bandana over their face. It appears to me that those are reading glasses this individual has. And they rip the flag out. You could see it shredded. And they'll now, in a few moments, throw the flagpole back into the yard. Listen carefully, because you're going to hear the homeowner scream in terror. And it sounds like the homeowner recognizes this individual. Every time I watch this video, I just have to stop and take a deep breath. The homeowner is claiming she recognized the individual and she knows who it is. She called the police. The police never called her back. So I'm going to now switch gears here and go through a timeline, because I kind of want to put this in perspective of all the other events that were occurring. So let's just take a minute. I'm now going to switch gears and kind of move into a timeline and bring this all together. Okay, so now that everybody has had a chance to review the documentation, the video, the pictures, I just want to take that date of November 23rd, 2022, when you see this individual in the broad daylight coming out and being brazen enough to commit a hate crime on this woman's property. And what happened was her video cameras alerted her that somebody was out there. It's quite a big distance between her house and where that flag was. And so she traversed this property to go out and see what was going on. I mean, the terror, I just know, there's really no words. I mean, if you are watching this video and you are in a position of power to do something, anything, and you choose not to, I'm sorry, but I have to just say you're part of the problem. So I'm just going to go, and as I move through this timeline, I think, and I hope that this becomes more and more shocking and alarming. Because if this can go on in the state of Colorado and nobody does a thing about it and everybody looks the other way, I mean, Lord help us all, is all I have to say. So let's just back up. So this happened November 23rd, 2022. Let's back up to May. May 2022, what appears to me, in my opinion, to be a fraudulent deed was filed against this homeowner's property, in which the HOA is now claiming they own 206 square feet of her property, which Colorado law doesn't support, Mesa County planning laws and rules don't support, and the HOA's own CC&Rs don't support. Then July 2022, a couple months later, her fence is ripped out by the HOA management company, and the sheriff shows up and tells this woman, this homeowner, oh, by the way, the HOA owns your property. Okay? An individual in a position of power is telling her that the HOA owns her property. There's a lot of elderly people and people out there that just by the very fact of a sheriff deputy delivering their message to them, they might be confused and they might be upset, but they might actually believe it. Then she tries to get a storage container to protect her fence. Then the storage owner is threatened with this letter that he is going to be a co-conspirator. The sheriff's going to call him, which actually, by the way, the sheriff did call him, according to the homeowner, which if the sheriff deputies are now acting on behalf of the HOA management company to represent their position with homeowners, that's even more frightening. So then, after that occurs, July 19th, she gets a lien issued on her property by the HOA stating she owes them $25,000. Then on July 26th, a week later, Adult Protective Services is called on her by an HOA board member stating that she's living in feces, she's crazy, she's running around her property acting like a crazy person. They didn't so far say she was crazy, but just it's public information. Pull this report and read it. Then August 6th, she's sued by the HOA for over $600K, claiming that she owns fees and fines and violations over $600K, right? But on July 19th, she only owed $25K, but suddenly between July 19th and August 6th, jumped up to over $600. Then on October 8th, animal control again was called, according to this HOA board homeowner, was called by an HOA board member to claim that she was abusing her animals, they weren't being fed, she was living in feces, and she was living in her basement, which she doesn't have a basement. Then November 20th, a month later, her flag is vandalized. Her pride flag for these victims in Colorado Springs was vandalized within a day of her putting it up on her property. Then in December, she appears in court, and the judge actually grants the HOA a temporary injunction on her property. December 2022. And it has been a year and a half, and that temporary injunction is still in place. The judge has also denied her a jury trial. Then she moves into 2023, she's informed by her bank, Alpine Bank, that she needs to close her bank account and she has 30 days to do so because they talked to the HOA lawyer who is also on the planning commission for Mesa County or Grand Junction. So she's got 30 days to close out her bank account. And then a couple weeks ago, you get an American flag vandalism event that occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning. Her night camera videos show what appears to be flashlights in and around her property at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the American flag was taken and the pole was wrapped around a fence. This was followed by a vandalism event that my fiance and I witnessed while we were out there with survey stakes. I talked to the police officer in Mesa County and he said these are separate events. So the Pride flag event happened a while ago and the survey thing has nothing to do with the American flag thing. Well, it was just a while ago, so he can't. In my opinion, these are all connected. In my opinion, I think the same persons or persons are acting. I think it's a coordinated event, and I think there's people out there that want to do harm to this homeowner. I don't know if these events are connected to her lawsuit. All I know is this is not normal. If you walked in and saw this as a horror movie, you would walk out of the movie thinking that it was unbelievable and that these things couldn't happen, but they are. And her story really needs to get out there. Now, a lot of people have asked me, why is it that I'm covering this and covering her story and putting so much work into this? The frightening thing for me is when I met this homeowner and started to hear her story, there are a lot of correlations between her story and my story. I feel like she is in a much more dangerous situation than I was. And so that's why I really just want to keep the focus on her story. At some point in time, I will start to explain how my events and her events are correlated and relate. I also want to let people know I'm not anti-HOA. I've been in owned condos where I've had HOAs and it was a great experience. I think they serve their purpose. What I am is I'm anti-crime. I'm anti-crime and I'm anti-government establishments that seem to think it's a good idea not to have any criminal oversight on HOAs whatsoever. Zero. How does it make any logical sense that you can let a billion-dollar industry thrive and grow and have no government oversight whatsoever if there's any criminal activity going on? It just doesn't make any sense at all. And why would we think that coordinated and organized crime would not start to take hold and grow in that type of environment? How many lessons do we need to learn over the history of our country around how many examples there are that organized crime does indeed flourish when there is no oversight, no consequences for committing crimes? Maybe I'm simplifying this, but in my opinion, I think that the Attorney General's office needs to create a crime division where homeowners can call in if HOAs have been committing crime. And it can be self-funded, similar like OSHA. And if those folks can't pay those fines, then that organization can give them super lien powers and foreclose on these criminals' homes. When it gets to the point where HOAs and HOA lawyers or what have you can start doing things that break the law, and our government expects the homeowner to fund a $100,000 lawsuit to take care of the problem, and then pays no attention to how often crimes are happening and to who they're happening to, how do we know what problem and how big of a problem we have? I mean, the very core of the American dream is to be able to make the right choices, work hard, and if you're lucky enough, maybe you can own something. Maybe you can get some piece of property or private piece of property, and when it's time for you to retire, you can enjoy it. And if we are going to not pay attention to what's going on and allow this to occur, there are so many victims out there that need our help that don't have help. And it's up to us. I mean, I was taught, if you see something, say something. And if somebody needs help, take action. And it's in my DNA. And I know that there's a lot of good people out there that really just don't understand what's going on with HOAs and where we are as a country and as a state. So I'm going to keep reporting on these stories. I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to share my own story. And my hope is that this continues to raise awareness. In addition, I am part of an HOA committee that is coordinating a rally at the state capitol. September 14th, Saturday, September 14th, 2 to 6. We are going to have a couple bands. We are in the process of putting together the agenda. If you would like to volunteer for that, or if you'd like to hear more about how you can help spread the word, please send me an email at pain2power@yahoo.com. Again, thank you so much for your time. And there's more nightmares around this story to come. So please like, follow, subscribe. And I look forward to bringing you more on this critical homeowner story. She needs help. She is representing herself right now without any legal counsel, and she needs help. Okay, thank you.
It all falls underneath federal laws, but the Disability Act and the American Disability, and the big thing too is my property rights. And I still today have not had my case heard, and I'm still waiting for trial and jury trial. And the events that have happened to me is definitely under federal law.
Go ahead.
So you haven't had a court date assigned to you going on almost 2 years now?
2 years going on to 3, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So I haven't been heard. I haven't had due process, which is also a federal law. No due process. I haven't been heard, and I'm being punished without due process.
So as part of the whole event, you know, of like approaching your doctors, and I mean, my assumption is your doctors are aware and have been involved in this, correct?
Oh yeah, they're very involved, but very private.
Are they
and
concerned?
They're extremely concerned. They also are extremely worried about my well-being, my health, and my safety with all the events that have happened to me, and they want me to be extremely cautious with everything that's happened to me.
Are your friends and family concerned about your safety?
Yeah.
How do you feel about your safety? Is this something where
It's scary. It's scary. I'm always on guard, and I'm just hoping for the best without overreacting, but it's concerning when everybody comes to you afraid that I'm going to get hurt. And I'm going to get hurt probably pretty badly, especially when they know I'm a single woman with a disability living alone.